Hello, poetry students. Today we have a new lecture in poetry entitled The Lady of Shalott, a poem by the well-known prominent poet of the Victorian period, Alfred Lord Tennyson. And of course, we have studied the previous poems by Alfred Lord Tennyson. And here we have another one, and it's one of the famous ones, indeed, prominent, The Lady of Shalott. What do we need to know about this poem? First, before we go through the text itself, Tennyson based his poem loosely on the medieval Italian tale of Elaine of Astolat, which later entered Arthurian tradition through Sir Thomas Malory's Le Morte d'Arthur, 1485. So we all know the legend of King Arthur. This is a very famous English legend, and the characters inside this legend they are used in many works of literature. Some of these characters, sometimes King Arthur himself, some other times the other knights, the other characters, poets, writers, they use them inside their works of literature, of course, to symbolize something or to represent certain characteristics. Or they are featured actually as main figures in these works. So here we come to this lady, and of course, here we are talking about mythological. This is a legend, and these characters are not real ones. Um, but there is this reference to this tale of this lady, Elaine, and her story with Sir Lancelot. Sir Lancelot is a prominent figure in the King Arthur legend. Here it says that in Mallory's version, Elaine called the fair maid of Astolat. So here we can see the parallel between this character and the Lady of Shalott that we are going to read about in the text. She falls in love with Sir Lancelot. So Sir Lancelot, actually, if you go through the legend of King Arthur and you see he's one of the prominent knights of the Round Table. He's a close friend to King Arthur, and he's very brave, and he's known for so many good qualities as a knight, as a fighter, as you see, as a very prominent figure of chivalry. يعني تعرفون هاي الفروسية العفو والشهامة هاي الصفات. When he does not return her love, this is the lady in the Italian tale. She dies of grief, and her body is set afloat in a barge down the Thames toward Camelot. And Camelot is also a very famous place, of course, a legendary place. It is the kingdom of King Arthur and his knights. So it's a very well known also name. Where the court marvels at her beauty in death. You see here what happens here is um, there are so many parallels. We have, first of all, the lady. The name actually is somehow similar. You see Shalott, Astolat, and the story. The main elements of the story that she falls in love with Sir Lancelot, and also her death. We're going to see that they are very similar, and of course, the mentioning of the legend of King Arthur. What else do we need to know? In this poem, there is a strange woman. This is let's say in brief, what the poem is about. There is a strange woman living on the island of Shalott by herself. And by the way, we are not given any name in the poem. She's just referred to as the Lady of Shalott. So it means that the lady who lives in this place, which is called Shalott, an island. This is an island. Shalott is an island. King Arthur's court at Camelot is only down the river from her. So where she lives in Shalott, as I told you, is an island and it's isolated. If you look down from from this island, you can see Camelot, the kingdom. It's the place where King Arthur's court is located. And there is a river, see, which moves by the side of this place. But the Lady of Shalott is not permitted to glance in that direction. She's not allowed. the Lady of Shalott is permitted uh, to look down on the direction of Camelot. It's prohibited. You see, it's forbidden for her. She should not look at there. You see, not only not look at this place, let alone going there. يعني هي مو بس ممنوع عليها يعني تلقي نظرة على على كاميلوت من خلال النافذة. هي أصلا حتى ممنوعة إنه تطلع من هذا المكان. يعني she's completely isolated. Why is this? Due to a mystery curse. She's cursed. There is a curse that is passed upon her, which permit her from what? From looking at Camelot, and the only thing she's doing there is what? She's weaving. تعرفون weaving نسيج تنسج تحوك. That's the only thing she's allowed to do. And you see, and we're going to see how this activity is symbolic, and how this isolation also is symbolic. It's symbolic of what? Of course, we are going to see that as we read. Instead of viewing the world, she looks into a magical mirror. What else we have? What does she has in this isolated place she's living in? And by the way, it's when you're going to see the description of the building, the castle she's living in, it's gray. It has tall towers and walls, so it looks like a prison, something like a prison, or it gives this impression indeed. What does she has there? She has a magical mirror. Through this magical mirror, when she looks at the mirror, she can see reflections of the outside world. So she's not allowed to look directly and see things in the real world. Instead, there is a magical mirror. She looks in the mirror and she sees the reflections, only the reflections. This is what she's allowed to look at. And then she makes gorgeous tapestry to portray what she sees. So the things that she sees in the reflection of the mirror, the images, the landscapes, maybe people passing by, all these kind of images, she has to weave them in tapestry. يعني المشاهد اللي تشوفها معكوسة من المرآة هي لازم تغزلها على شكل يعني تسوي كأنما نسيج. بس هذا الشيء هو المسموح لها يعني. Okay. However, like in many fairy tales, and typically this is what happens in fairy tales, that there is a curse and this curse is broken and something bad happens. The restrictions exist only to be violated. This is interesting indeed. شايفين مثلا هاي اكو هواية قصص من ديزني، من سلسلة أفلام ديزني، هي أصلا مأخوذة من قصص قديمة أو أساطير أو حكايات يعني شعبية قديمة، ودائما تشوفون أكو بيها كيرس مثلا، وهاي الكيرس مجرد تحطيمها يعني راح يؤدي إلى كذا وكذا من يعني الشر أو الأشياء السيئة اللي تصير. فهي أصلا ليش هاي الكيرس؟ يعني يقول لك هي الكيرس كيرس موجودة حتى على يجي واحد يحطمها أو يعني يخالفها، فتصير هو يصير الأكشن يعني والأحداث تصير. The poem narrates the account of why the lady ultimately glances out her window. So the curse is, how is it broken? When the lady looks outside from the window. You see? This is what happens. As well as the tragic repercussions of breaking the magic. So this is the main idea in the poem. So what do you think the point of this? By transforming Mallory's Elaine into the Lady of Shalott, Tennyson fused Arthurian romance with Victorian concerns. Here we have the Arthurian legend is something very, very ancient in the history of literature, of the English literature. It's some of the it's related to the tradition actually in English literature. But here we are talking about Tennyson who who lived in the Victorian period, and we all know Victorian period. We are talking about the 19th century, and it's very crucial period in which we have so many changes that took place. What are the Victorian concerns? Here we can think of the condition of women, for example. Um, and of course, here, since we have something related to art, weaving, you see, looking at the mirror, all these things that are related to art and artists. So we can think that these are the main thoughts or ideas that are discussed in the poem, and when we analyze the themes of the poem, we can come up with such analysis or explanation. His version became so popular that it overshadowed the medieval source. Sometimes a poet actually writes a very good piece of literature upon certain character that he has taken from a source, maybe from a legend, from mythology, from tradition, and it becomes the most famous one rather than the source. So let's see the poem. Actually, it's long, but it's not hard to catch and to follow. So here we come with part one. What does it say? And you're going to see that actually the division of the poem is somehow fixed. يعني اكو ثبات بشكل القصيدة كترتيب stanzas يعني parts. Um, This is part one. On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye that clothe the world and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many towered Camelot. So, what do we have here? We have description, beautiful description of a landscape. What do we have in this landscape? We have a river. لاحظون هنا river. On either side يعني على جوانب النهر, on either side of the river, what do we have? We have fields of barley and of rye. تعرفون هاي المحاصيل barley والراي, الشعير والشوفان, that clothe the world and meet the sky. And what do you see when you look at this beautiful landscape? You see the river, and on either sides, what do we have? We have fields of barley and rye, and you can also, the sky is visible, the horizon, as if they are against the sky. And through the field the road runs by, and there is this road that goes through these fields. And where does it go to, or where does it lead to? It leads to Camelot. See, this is the first time Camelot is mentioned. And up and down the people go. So it's a road, a normal road, and people are coming and going to Camelot. You see, gazing where the lilies blow, round an island there below, the island of Shalott. So here, what do we have? Look at the setting here. We have two places, two locations. We have Camelot, where we have the King Arthur's court, and we have the island of Shalott, which is an isolated island that is found on a distance from Camelot. So Tennyson begins with a pastoral description. Here the description is very pastoral and rural. يعني وصف لا تلاحظون وصف للطبيعة, يعني وصف لطبيعة ريفية رعوية. pastoral يعني رعوي. A river runs through farmland leading toward Camelot, King Arthur's legendary city. The imagery sets up a medieval romantic world. يعني هاي اللي احنا مرات نشوفها باللوحات, إذا شايفين هاي اللوحات اللي يصورون بيها هاي الشخصيات الأسطورية, أو يصورون بيها مثلا العصور الوسطى. تلاحظون إنه هذا الوصف يشبهها يعني. See? So, willows, let's go to the second stanza.